When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained. What is man, that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man, that thou visitest him? Psalm 8, 3-4. David continues his meditation by shifting his gaze upward. The psalmist stands beneath the night sky, transfixed by its vastness. This isn't casual observation, but deep contemplation. The phrase, "when I consider," suggests deliberate, thoughtful reflection on God's handiwork. Notice the intimacy in David's language. The heavens are the work of thy fingers. He doesn't speak of cosmic forces or natural laws, but portrays God as a craftsman who fashions the universe with the skill of an artist. The moon and stars aren't random celestial bodies, but ordained with purpose. This imagery contradicts both ancient and modern misconceptions. Unlike pagan cultures that worshipped heavenly bodies as gods, David sees them as God's creations. Unlike contemporary materialism that views the cosmos as accidental, David recognizes divine intention behind every part of God's creation. The vastness of space prompts David's profound question in verse 4. What is man that thou art mindful of him? Against the backdrop of cosmic immensity, human existence seems insignificant. The word for man in this passage emphasizes human frailty and mortality. David marvels not at humanity's greatness, but at God's attention toward us. The term mindful suggests God keeps us in his thoughts. Even more astonishing, he visits us, showing that God engages with and cares for us. The creator of countless stars concerns himself with individual human lives. This passage confronts us with a paradox at the heart of biblical faith. Humans are both insignificant when measured against the universe and significant as objects of divine attention. For believers today, this passage offers several applications. First, it calls us to cultivate astronomical wonder. Modern light pollution and indoor living disconnect many from the night sky. We miss what David experienced, the overwhelming display of stars declaring God's glory. We need to find dark skies and look up. Second, these verses provide perspective on human problems. Our difficulties can overwhelm us. Reflecting on God's immense creation puts our lives into perspective. This doesn't minimize genuine suffering, but places it within the larger context of God's sovereign control over his creation. Third, this passage offers a powerful antidote to both pride and despair. When we grow arrogant, the stars remind us of our smallness. When we feel worthless, God's mindfulness assures us of our value. Our significance derives not from our achievements, but from the Lord's attention. Fourth, these verses speak to our technological age. Modern astronomy has revealed a universe far vaster than David could imagine, with billions of galaxies spanning incomprehensible distances. Rather than diminishing faith, these discoveries should deepen our wonder. As the universe expands in our understanding, so should the majesty of its maker. Fifth, this passage foreshadows the ultimate visitation from our Lord Jesus. Evidence of God's mindfulness toward humanity reached its zenith when the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. John 1:14. Jesus didn't just observe humanity from heaven, but became one of us. Last, these verses remind us that genuine worship emerges from both revelation and reflection. David observed creation and then pondered its implications. We need unhurried moments to consider what God's creation reveals about his character and our place in his world. When we stand beneath the stars and recognize both our smallness and God's mindfulness, we find ourselves where worship begins. God's grace overwhelms us, and we realize its vastness defies comprehension.